a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Hi there. It's Monday, which usually should be a best of show, but not today. Today we are live. Tomorrow is my birthday, and I am going to be taking it off and likely doing a whole lot of pickleball because that's how I roll. That's a great birthday present for me. Mark just bought me a very nice, very expensive paddle, and the more I can play with it, the happier I am. That's how it works. Anyway, I know I don't see anybody commenting, so I'm thinking, I wonder if anybody even knows that I'm here, but I am, and you can always watch the recording. So today I want to talk about another year, being another year wiser, or wiser question mark, but transitioning from this is my last day of 66, and tomorrow I turn 67, which is one of those things. Hi, Jenny.
Sorry,
What
Wi-Fi
happened?
issues, but we're good. You're still live. See ya.
Oh, okay. That's Jenny, just in case you were wondering what she's doing. Anyway, so another trip around the sun, right? Another chance to reflect, to shed things that no longer serve, and to recommit to the things that do. And I usually look at, I look at two things that I look at. Wi-Fi issues. I look at two things when I am evaluating, the year. I look at the beginning of the year because, January 1st, we all look at that. I also look at my personal year, which is when my birthday comes. And I used to be filled with dread over my birthday. I don't know why, but I always was. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that maybe I didn't hit my goals. Maybe it was a reminder that I'm another year older and I am nowhere anywhere close to where I want to be. But this year, I will tell you, has been a whole different year. And instead of looking at it like, how do I feel and what's going on here and what have you, this year has cracked me open in a way that was completely unexpected. And of course, I'm not going to mince words. I'm going to tell you the whole unvarnished truth. I'm going to give you all of it. And just say that it has been a lot more than I bargained for. You know, you know some of the stuff that's been going on, but I will tell you that these lessons have been absolutely incredible. Okay, and I'm going to share them all with you. And one of those lessons, by the way, has to do with a decision that I've just made. It has taken me a long time to make this decision. I have weighed and measured and balanced out what I was going to do. And that is I make the decision to no longer carry supplements. Now, this has been a hard decision because I formulated some of those supplements myself, number one. And two, I took a great deal of pride in doing that, just simply because it was, I felt like it was an extraordinary, revolutionary thing to do that. That's number one. Also, number two is I know that these supplements work because I use them myself. I know how supplements can be a game changer and a life changer. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So to make this decision to stop doing supplements, to stop selling our supplements was really hard on me. It was really tough. And it was was it an admission I just couldn't do it? Was it a lack of vision that I couldn't see it all the way through. I will tell you, it was a number of different things, and they beat me up pretty good. All right. It just happened. The number one thing is our manufacturer, whom I love, by the way. As they grew, they outgrew us. They were too big for us. We started and we were able to do 50 supplements at a time. And I'm talking about formulated supplements and then being able to sell them. That worked really well for us. Even as we grew, it kept our inventory under control. It helped with cash flow, the whole 9 yards. As they grew, they got rid of machines that just did smaller batches, and they brought in these machines that did bigger and bigger and bigger batches. So instead of only being allowed to do just 50 bottles of supplements or jars or whatever it is that we were doing. Hey there, Tanya, by the way. We ended up having to go to 100, and then it became 500, and now it's 1,000 or 3,000 or more, depending. And that's stretching me beyond my comfort zone and stretching what it is that we are capable of doing as a smaller company. So that's one. That's just a logistical thing. The next part of it is that we relied heavily on social media. And as social media would change and their algorithms would change, we found ourselves in a place of constantly having to reinvent the wheel. We hired an agency that ended up, let's just put it to you this way. Lessons learned. I will never hire another agency again to do any kind of ad work for me ever again. It just cost me a whole heck of a lot of money, and I was left with nothing in return. They never improved anything. They didn't give us anything, nothing. It was just an exercise in futility, and it was a very expensive one. So all of that kind of beat me down, and it made me start to question myself, and it made me start to question what it is that I'm doing and what kind of an impact that I'm having. And I looked at our customer list of people who were buying and then people who were not buying anymore, and it kept getting slower and slower and smaller and smaller. And I knew that people were going elsewhere because I couldn't charge what some of these larger manufacturers are charging, because I wasn't selling 10,000 units of this a month. And so it would be less expensive to go to Amazon, for example, and buy something than it would be to buy it through me. Now, I've always had my loyal folks, and I'm so grateful, Tanya being one, that have stayed with me and purchased their supplements through me. And, I can't even tell you how much affection I have for you. Thank you. The other thing too was that we never were able to get it together with Amazon. We worked it, and we worked it to get it on there. We had to apply for patents. We had to do all these things, and they never would approve our stuff. So the frustration and futility of trying to do all of these things and get them all going, I finally decided, full stop. Let's re-examine, where am I on all of this? What is my heart toward the people who are in my space and my community? And what am I trying to do here? Is it important to sell this supplement, or is it important to empower my people, to love them up and to give them the knowledge that they need in order to make good decisions for themselves? And I decided that's where I am. That's why some of my videos went viral before, is because I was teaching and I was leading and I was showing people that there is a better way. And there are things that we can do for ourselves, and we can take control of our lives, and we can be empowered to do the things that we want in our lives. And we don't need to see our dreams dribble away, and that we do have it within us, every single one of us. And that's where I want to stay. That's where I want to stay. That's where my passion is, not in a supplement. My passion is in seeing women equipped and having them see that it's never too late for them and that at any time they can step into the life that they want. That's where I am. So I'm going to continue with things like our book club, which is coming right up. By the way, you can still join us, savingdinner.com/recreate. Recreate Your Life is all about that, making sure that we are reading books that empower us and give us opportunity and knowledge to reshape the way our path is going, right? So that's going to be there. Courses, we have a couple of popular courses, our confidence course and also our energy course. Because, if you don't have energy, you don't have anything. And these are things that are tangible. They're science backed and they help you. So can I do this for you? That's what I'm going to do. Can I help you to do better in your life? I'm going to do that. It doesn't have to come in a bottle or in a container to do so. So that's where we are. That's what we're going to continue to do. That's what we're about. Okay? I'm not giving up. I'm not stopping Saving Dinner. We are going to continue to live our life in full bloom. We are going to continue to examine things in our lives that need examining. And we are going to 100% keep this sisterhood alive. It's important. It's important to me. I know it's important to you. I get your messages every week. And that's who we are. And this is how we do it. Okay? So I just wanted to explain all of that. And if you want to grab some of those supplements, because we have made a humongous sale out of all of this, here's what we're doing. The more you buy, the greater the discount. We are even doing free shipping on the continental US side only. If you grab that many, that supplement clearance is not, there's no rain checks, there's no back orders, there's no nothing. When it's gone, it is gone for good. Now, some of you have asked me, hey, what if I can't get this, what can I get instead? What do you trust, Leanne? I am making a list. I will check it twice and I will give it to you after we are done with our supplement sale. Right now, today, I'm really busy with all of these things and staying on top of it and watching our inventory like a hawk. I have to, because things are going to sell out. You can get up to 50% off. So just keep that in mind. All the details are at savingdinner.com/show, by the way. And I highly recommend that you go take a look, pick out your favorites, and as much as your budget can afford, take advantage of it. Because once it's gone, again, gone for good. So that's what I have to tell you. Meanwhile, I have to tell again, we always get these quotes that just seem to mesh with what's going on. The quote of the week is, one of the differences between some successful and unsuccessful people is that one group is either full of doers and the other group is full of wishers. And I will tell you, the wishing stuff is real, because don't we all wish? Don't we all wish, oh, if only I won the lottery? Well, I've said that on more than one occasion. I will tell you, I haven't even bought a lottery ticket when I've said that. So you got to do something about it. Not that I'm suggesting anybody go out and buy lottery tickets as a way to make your life easier. It's just the simple principle of the doing, making things work. So I went through and thought about my year and thought about all of this and thought about, what is it in my life? What can I leave you with that I'm, the lessons that I have learned going through 66 and turning 67 tomorrow. And so I'll just share some of the biggest lessons that I'm carrying into my next chapter. And hopefully these are lessons too that you can say yes to, and that you could say, you know what, I'm kind of on the same page. I'm going to bet some of these are. Now, one of them I have shared before is number one is waiting for motivation. And I think motivation is a big fat trap. You've heard me say before that movement plus momentum equals magic. And I fully believe that with all of my heart, because you cannot get the magic of motivation, right? Until you start to move it first. It has to come first. And one of the things that has tremendously made a difference in my life is not sitting around dwelling upon the problem and how difficult it is and the motivation that I need to get off the dime to fix it, but instead to just start something. And to make sure that when I'm starting something that I can see it all the way through. I just did a Substack this morning on that, and I used laundry of all things as sort of my metaphor, because laundry isn't just about throwing, dirty clothes into the wash. They need to be transferred to the dryer. They need to be dried, and then they need to be folded, and then they need to be put away. And I thought about all the consequences of not following through on all four steps. One, if you don't take the clothes out of the washing machine, well, you know what that smells like, and you got to start over. And, sometimes it takes 2 washes to get that smell out. Same with the wrinkly clothes in the dryer. They're just unwearable, or else you got to drag out the iron, and get them fixed, or start over and wash them again, or leaving them sitting there in your laundry basket. People in your family start looking for things and can't find them, and then they rip apart your laundry basket looking for them, all because they didn't get put away. And if we can see ourselves through the 4 steps of doing our laundry, there's likely steps into doing anything. So I looked at my Google Docs, and I saw so many unwritten blog post ideas, Substack ideas, and what have you. And I thought, this is a laundry situation. Some of them are in the wash, getting stinky. Some of them have been sitting there wrinkled up in the dryer, and some of them are just sitting there folded up. They just need to be put away. I just need to finish up the edits and get it taken out. This is what we do oftentimes when we are sitting there waiting for motivation to get it done. So, do we sit there and do we wait for the clarity? Do we wait for the energy? Do we wait for the certainty? I will tell you, mostly it never comes. Sometimes it just takes starting and getting things going. So it's the movement. You just start. And then you do one thing, and then you do another, and then the next thing, and the next thing, and then you've completed something. And that completion is a dopamine hit in your brain. Remember, we're all just big bags of chemicals. And if we can check the box on the right chemicals, we can start feeling pretty good. We know what makes us feel bad. We know what makes us feel even more blue. We can escape it with sitting on the couch, binge watching Netflix, eating too much, drinking too much wine, all of that. We have escape hatches, but those escape hatches usually lead to more of the same and feeling even worse. So my whole thing this year has just been, anytime I've heard it come out of my mouth, and it has, I wish I was motivated to do X, Y, and Z, is to just shut up. Because if I wait for motivation, it, 1, is not going to knock on my door. And 2, that means this thing that I'm trying to do is never going to get done. The clarity and the certainty and all the other stuff that I'm hoping for can also be put to the side. That's also a motivational trap, by the way. So I will tell you, waiting for motivation, no. Get going and getting something done, that is going to trigger the good chemicals, making you feel better and help to create the life that you want. And I have to my whole thing is, remember this in everything, Leanne. It's not just in doing the laundry. It's in how you write. It's in how you think. It's in how you love someone, right? Which again is number 2, because love alone can't fix it, but presence can heal. So, this whole year has stretched my heart in about 100 different directions. And the stuff that's just really been hard on my psyche and heavy in my heart has been watching my daughter's, marriage unravel, and the pain that she's going through, and the tremendous heaviness of the whole thing. I've No, I can't fix it. But there is this part of me that searches through my brain like, a hyperactive search engine looking for the solution. And I found, it's just not there. But what does matter is that I can show up and I can be present and I don't have to say anything. I can just watch an old movie with my daughter and just be there with her. Sometimes that's just enough. Um, and sometimes you want to say something and you're just thinking, is this the right thing to say? And I'm learning to just shut up, because sometimes the advice comes too easily. But that isn't love. Love isn't advice. Love is just showing up, and it's sitting with somebody who's in the dark, and you don't flinch because it's painful to see. You don't move away from it, you move closer to. As isolating as that situation might be for that person, we have a choice to move closer. And what I would say is, this is an endless opportunity to love more fully than you've ever loved, and to be tested in that, and to be pulled and stretched to figure out what that means. And moment by moment, it sometimes changes, and week by week, it sometimes changes. But that's what love is being observant enough and loving enough and giving enough that you're going to allow for it to form in the way it needs to form. And this is what I'm learning right now. I can't fix this. I can't make it better or easier for her. But what I can do is be present. And that presence of me being there, that's going to help her heal. That's going to help her know that I see her worth and I care about her, and that she is very much a valued part of my life and of everybody else's around her. And that's important. The third thing, as I learned, is that the body never lies. I will tell you, 66 has been interesting, and it's pushed me to really respect and listen to my body, because I go full out. I leave it all on the dance floor. That's just the way I've always been. And I work out hard. I play pickleball hard. I do everything hard. I like it that way. I like to see what what my limits are. I like to push it. But now I'm recognizing this old girl has some body parts on her, that have been pushed maybe a little too hard. And I thought about this, question, and I actually asked AI, and I said, just because I can, does that mean I should? Because I can leg press like 340 pounds. It's hard, but I can do it. And that's what they tell you. Like, do, you want to be lifting heavy and pushing heavy, doing all of that. But just because I can, is that something that I should be doing? Because my knees would really feel it after. And so I backed down and just did more reps and did it to about 300 pounds. I go between 290 and 300 pounds and just do more reps. And I've recognized that this is what I need to do for my body, that there's no badge or medal that's going to be given out at the end of my workout session saying, you did 340 pounds. Good for you. Do 360 next time. I'm not a gym bro. I'm a 67-year-old woman tomorrow, Okay, so you can lift heavy. That doesn't mean you need to lift as hard and heavy as you have been doing. because your body is telling on you the next day. When you're laying, or that night even, when you're laying in bed and everything on you is crying in pain, you got to back off a little, you know? We baby ourselves, but we also push ourselves. Finding that middle ground to me has just been all about listening to my body. And, you know, we take in our emotions too. Our emotions lodge inside of our body. Um, that happens as well, and we need to be mindful of that. We need to understand that also, that inflammation, we could be causing it not by necessarily our food, but maybe by our movement. The fatigue that we're feeling could be, multi-pronged. Maybe it's from getting not a full night's sleep, or not enough sleep, or horrible sleep, or too much inflammation, too much wrestling around, and too much fatigue. You know what? You figure it out. You make the assessment. You live in that body. When we can do this and start to listen, it's like having a conversation with our bodies about what works and what doesn't. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. That's been my new mantra. So I'm not going to be pushing 340 pounds on the leg press anymore. I've backed it down. And what I'm going to do is listen to my body, see how my knees respond, see how everything responds. I've been bumping up my collagen intake. I have a whole new stack. I have a pain stack, what I call my pain stack of different supplements that have also helped tremendously. So these are things that we can do, but also listening to our bodies and understanding that where we are and the time of life that we're in and what have you, take good care of this body. I have all my parts and I want to keep all my parts. Keeping them means I respect them. And I will tell you, your body is your most honest friend that you have if you listen to her. Hi, Jane. The other thing that I've learned, number 4, is that boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that you choose when to open. So I've had to draw some much firmer boundaries. I just mentioned to you before, working with this agency was just such a nightmare. That's a boundary. I will never again do anything like that again. No, I don't care what they try to entice me with. Never again is never again. That's a boundary. That's a business boundary that I've put in place. I trust myself a whole lot more and don't think that they're going to know any better because I've paid an expensive price for that. They don't, and they don't care like I do. And they've got 6 other people that they're dealing with. And it's all about making sure that I pay that monthly fee and then for all the advertising and what have you. And it's such a freeing thing to put that boundary down because now there is no if or ands and maybes. It's all just no. Easy. I've done it in a relation. I did it with my husband about some things that I'm not going to discuss that are personal, but it's made a clear difference in the way that we communicate with one another. And it's also broken some bad habits that we've fallen into like everybody else does. And it's given us an opportunity to build new. And that's important. And, the other thing is, and I think this is one of the biggest things, it's also given me clarity on the things that I am willing to carry emotionally anymore. And I do a lot of walking. You know that I take my doggie out every day for at least 2 miles around the lake. And during that time when I'm walking, there's gratitude walk, there's prayer walking, there's just thinking about things. I don't listen to books. I used to, but I don't listen to books anymore because I want to be present with my dog. I also want to be present with what's around me. And what I've noticed as I'm, going through all of this stuff, I will say as I'm praying, aloud, is that this is something I choose not to carry anymore. God, can you help me with this? And the lightness that I feel has just been incredible. But I've also noticed that This stress, when I am carrying it, is again telling on me in my body. I get cold sores in my mouth, and they are so painful. I take lysine every single morning, um, just as a preventative because I take 1,000 milligrams every single morning on an empty stomach with my SAMe. It is a non-negotiable. It's what I do because that is going to keep me away from the cold sore place, which, I don't get just a little cold sore. I get like this huge cold sore, and just talking is painful. So, yeah, don't want to go there. And it also, I've noticed, exhausts me, and I maybe even get a little bit of a low grade temp. So, all of this really affects my body. That's stress showing up on my body, by the way. And that's my body telling on me that I am carrying stuff that I don't need to carry. Why do you think we pray? Why do you think God is there in the first place? His shoulders are way bigger than ours. We can give these things up. And that's one of the things that I've really, really tried to do a lot of, is not carry things, those big things emotionally, because I don't need to anymore. I've also understand that boundaries don't mean that you're cold-hearted. It means that you're clear. It means that you understand what you're about and what you're not about. It means that you're not going all over kingdom come trying to make everyone happy. That's not what it's about. When we do that, we bleed out energy to the whole entire world. And I've figured out that if I want to keep my energy, which is so critically important because I work so hard on creating it and keeping it, then it's absolutely 100% necessary for me to make sure that I keep my energy by keeping my boundaries. They help me to stay on task with my purpose, and they keep my peace. Boundaries are beautiful things. And we've talked about them endlessly, but this is kind of my takeaway for this year. Number 5 is you can tell the truth without setting fire to everything. One of the things that I am good at is communication. I am a bit of a wordsmith, one might say. I'm an author. I like to write things. I love the creative process of writing. I love to speak. I love to talk about things. I love metaphor. I love contrast. But I can also be wickedly harsh. I know that about myself. And backing away from that kind of thing, I'm understanding that it's a lot more finessed to be kind and honest and fierce and soft at the same time. I don't have to be harsh. I don't have to be that knee-jerky and mean-spirited woman. I don't want to be that woman. And so my whole thing has been, as I've had hard conversations, boy, who likes a hard conversation? Nobody likes it, especially having to start it all up and all of that. But as I've had these hard conversations, I've thought about what I've said, and I've gone into these hard conversations well thought out beforehand, because I don't want to fall into the harsh trap. I want to go to the place of love. I want to go to the place of kindness, but I also want to be honest. And I want to be a little bit raw. I don't want it to be like this rehearsed thing. But I do not want to fall into that trap of being harsh and awful. It's not a necessary thing. And at this age in my life, in this place and age and stage of my life, it's the one thing I really want to fall off, because it serves no one. It makes me feel bad. And if I am good with my words, then I can be kind with them as well. Number 6 is there's no expiration date on becoming. Boy, do I know this well. That's how Full Bloom all started, back when I turned 60, 7 years ago. And, I've never felt more in motion, if you will, than I do right now. I made a big decision to stop selling supplements. I made a big decision to pivot toward my community and what I see the need is. I've made a decision that I'm not slowing down just because I turned 67 and I'm of retirement age. I've made a decision to shift up. I've made a decision that my own personal revolution is a revelation to a lot of women that we don't have to say it's over and it's time to just, sit on the couch and, go down to the old folks center and, listen to the oldies. I don't want that. I want to recalibrate the parts of my life that need to be recalibrated, and I want to learn the new thing. I want to be there bringing people to the table, you know? It's to me, it's not a coincidence that I started with food and started with saving dinner. To me, it was important because dinner is the centerpiece of a family's life, getting together at the dinner table. You don't do it usually for breakfast. Everybody's rushing. Dinner, kids are at school, everybody's here, there, and everywhere. And then finally, here we are, and it's a good old fashioned picture of 1950s, America where we're sitting down at the dinner table. And everybody's family, of course, looks different. But the point is that we break bread together, that it's a community, it's a communal meal. And it's important. It feeds the body, heart, mind, and soul. That's where I am right now, still doing that. I still see the importance in food. I still see the importance in supplements. I still see the importance of community. I see the importance of the up level of sisterhood and how we have the ability to lift one another up and to have each other's backs. That's what women do naturally. And when we do it on purpose and for purpose, by the way, how much better is that? And number 7 is, I wrote this in my Substack post, my new Substack post that went out this morning. And that is that sometimes magic looks like folding the laundry. We all love a big breakthrough, and we love a big breakthrough story, don't we? But sometimes it's good to just look at the quiet stuff, like a well-prepared dinner. My daughter came over and made me dinner, by the way, last night. It was absolutely delicious and everything that I wanted. And it was having her presence there and having her make the dinner and having the wine and having the sit down with our at the dinner table with, my pretty napkins and all of that. It just fed my heart and it fed my soul. But this, that kind of a thing is what I'm talking about, because the magic comes in the meal being prepared, served, cleaned up, and put away, and everyone enjoyed it. Laundry is kind of the same thing. There's 4 steps, right? Wash, dry, fold, and put away. But, that's what it is. There's never just one step. And that's one of my biggest takeaways, is that if we look at it from that perspective, that the tears that I'm crying in the car from heartbreak for my daughter are later going to be translated into that happened, that cleared the deck, and now I have room for her when I get to her house. And now I have room to love her up and to give her more. There's steps to this. There are things that we do. Those sore muscles from lifting, I'm taking a stack of supplements that help with that. I'm also getting into the Epsom salt bath and doing all the things that I can do for it. I've got an actual plan for that because I know it's not just one thing. And that's the magic of all of this when we understand it's never just one thing. There are things that are connected to it. It ebbs and flows. That's what life does. The waves come and sometimes they crash down on you. And it's hard and it hurts. But then they stop, And this is the thing that keeps me grounded. I know this. I don't know what this whole year is going to be bringing in my 67th year starting tomorrow. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea how it's going to grow or not grow my business. I have no idea how this shift and this change is going to affect how it is that I do anything. Here's what I do know. I now trust myself more than I have before. I will not give up that part of my knowing to somebody else who claims to be an expert, right? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to abandon myself for anyone or any expert or anything else. I believe in movement. I believe in feeding yourself right. I believe in taking charge of your own health. And even if that means that I have to go one-on-one with a doctor because I don't agree with them, okay, you've got a medical degree. I respect that, but I'm a nutritionist and you haven't been trained, dude. So back away. That's how I feel about things. So I can do this though. I can live this way in strength and in softness. I can become, even if I am turning 67. I am becoming. I am being that woman. So if you're watching the show live, great. Thank you. If you are going to see this in the show notes tomorrow, and you've been feeling like for yourself, maybe, oh my gosh, it's too late. I'm XYZ age and I've missed my window. Let me be your mirror for just a minute. It's not too late. You are not too old. And your magic isn't behind you. It's right in front of you. Grasp your lessons. Maybe some of these are yours. I don't know. But grasp your lessons and say thank you. Your experience has been your teacher. So if you allow the teaching to happen, you will become the woman of your own dreams. That is a promise. And that's what we're all about, is to become that woman. This is just the beginning. I turn 67 tomorrow. You might be 67 already or older. You might be younger. Wherever it is that you are, you're not done yet because you're still here. And your purpose is ever before you, if only you look for it and reach for it. All right? That's a promise. Hi, Jane. That's all I have for you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for showing up today. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.